Hi there, I'm Bob, and this is a Descript tutorial. Today we're going to have a look around Descript, figure out the lay of the land there, and then we're going to get right into editing a video. We'll play with transcription, inserting stock media, editing text, adding subtitles, publishing, and some other features along the way. Now let's get in here and do this. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the layout, because being able to know your way around certainly makes things a lot easier. At the top, we have the Insert menu. This is where you would insert audio, video files that you're bringing in from somewhere else. You can record your video and audio right here in Descript, and that's what that next button does. Then we have text, shapes, and templates. The big panel on the left is the script panel. This is where the text of your video appears, or audio, if you're just doing audio. How does it get there? Well, there's a couple ways it can get there. You can write your script right there in that box and then have Descript use text-to-speech to turn it into audio, or you can read your script, record your script right into Descript, and it'll transcribe it as you go, which is really cool. You can also, if you import media from somewhere else, if you import an audio or video file and drop it in here, Descript will transcribe whatever you've brought in, and when it transcribes and comes up with the words that matches the audio, it'll go right there in that script pane. Over on the left, we have the scene rail. The scene rail shows you thumbnails of each scene within your video, and you decide what the scenes are. It's real easy. Just by adding a / anywhere in the script, it creates a new scene. Scenes are a way that lets you do some editing and some specific things in specific areas. Over to the right, we have the canvas. In most video editors, this is a preview pane, but here in Descript, the canvas is not just for previewing. There are actually some things you can do that make it very intuitive. You don't have to go hunt and find things. Over to the right is the properties pane. The properties pane just shows you all the details of whatever it is that you're working on right now. So if you've selected a piece of video or an image or a scene or grabbed some text or selected some text in your script, all the relevant properties for that selection will show up over in the properties window, and many of them can be adjusted. Down at the bottom, we have what looks a little bit more familiar if you've used other video editors. This is the timeline. You'll see at the very bottom, you have your standard waveform, but right above it, you have the text. So this is showing you exactly where those words line up with the sounds those words make. Pretty cool, huh? Now, this is done by AI, so it's not perfect, but it's close enough that it makes the whole editing process way easier. Let's work on a project in Descript. This is what the home page of Descript looks like. We have our recent projects down the list here, and this makes it pretty easy not to have to go hunting for things because it keeps a lot of recent projects in there for you. For the most part, you tend to be working on things that you've worked on recently, and they're all right there, easy to find. You can also sort by folders. As you can see over here, I have a couple of folders so I can find specific things, but the recent projects is usually a real quick way to find what you're looking for. You can also search your projects up here in the search bar. That's handy too. Today, we're going to do a new project. So we're going to come over here to new project. We can also do new classic project. This is the older version of Descript, and the layout was a little bit different there. It's still active. You can still use classic projects if you like that layout and the way things worked there, but it looks like that will be going away at some point. So I don't really want to get attached to that way. Some folks that are really just comfortable with the classic layout and style, they want to stay in there for as long as they can, and that's fine. But if you're new to Descript, I would strongly recommend don't even mess with classic because, like I said, it looks like that's going to be going away. Descript says you can continue creating your projects and editing your projects in classic for now. So that tells me that it's not going to be around forever. So let's just go into new project. And what we have here, remember, we have our slide rail over on the left. We have our script pane here in the left center. In the right, that'll be our canvas. And then the far right will be our properties. Up top, we have the insert tools. The first thing you do with any project, you want to give it a title. We're going to call this Demo Descript. Pretty straightforward to get started as far as what you want to do once you're in this project. You can choose a file to transcribe. That would be bringing in an audio file or a video file with audio attached to it, and Descript will transcribe it for you, and then you can start editing it. You can start recording. So if you're starting from scratch, you have nothing, and you want to record your whole video in here, you can certainly do that. You can start writing. If you want to start writing your script in here and then either record it yourself or use one of the AI voices or your overdubbed AI voice to create the voiceover or the audio portion of your video, you can do that here. Or you can start from a template, and you can create templates for all sorts of things and certainly speed up your process. If you have the same lower third on every video, if you have the same captioning, any of those kinds of things, you can create templates for all that. so that you don't have to adjust those settings every time you make a video. We're going to choose a file to transcribe. Okay, and you see what pops up here is your transcript will be ready in a few minutes. It pulled in the file. I think when I opened the file, it was off on the other screen, but that's okay. What this is telling us is we're saying that we think there's one speaker in this file. I happen to know there is only one speaker, and that would be me. I was the only one speaking. We can tell it that there's multiple speakers. That'll help it when it's transcribing to attribute blocks of text to speaker one, speaker two, whatever. Or we can go in here and tell it what the speaker's name is, and it'll automatically apply that. That's fine either way. We're not going to tell it anything. We're going to let it figure it out. And if we know there's a lot of speakers, but we don't know how many, we can say unsure. If we know there's more than 8 speakers, that's a heck of a transcript, but we can say more than 8 and it'll find them and figure them out. We can also tell it the language here. Mine is in English. That's the only one I speak, and I don't speak that one very well either. What it has done here is it has taken this audio file that I brought in and it has transcribed it and figured out what all those words meant. The first thing I like to do is just walk through the script, look at the word, and see what's right or what's not. The first thing I see here is a little bit of a mix-up. Congress created 4 banking holidays for federal employees in the District of Columbia: New Year's Day, Independence Day, than and period, and Christmas Day. Obviously, something right here in this little area didn't get transcribed right, or maybe I botched it up. So let's play it through and see. Columbia, New Year's Day, Independence Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Day. It wasn't. Okay, so what we're missing here, it was recorded right. This should say Thanksgiving Day and a comma, not than and a period. So what we can do to fix that, you can either click anywhere in that word and click C on your keyboard. You can highlight the word and then this menu will come up automatically and you just hit correct. And we want this to say Thanksgiving Day and we want a comma after that. So we'll type it out the way it should be and we'll hit correct. And then we can delete this period. It's telling me I had hit the backspace to get rid of a space and it was saying, hey, wait, we're not finished making the change you already asked for. I don't want this big space between Thanksgiving Day, comma. I don't want this to come down 2 lines and then go to end Christmas Day. So I'm going to just press delete. I'm kind of a stickler for commas in the right places, or at least where I think they're supposed to be. Things like that, we can just drop the comma in there and we're good. New Year's Day, that should be capitalized. This is one of the things where I find it much easier to use the keyboard shortcuts than to go through the edit menu. While you're in here, if you just press down on Z and then click the word, it'll change the capitalization. So I'm holding Z, I click and it just alternates between lowercase and uppercase for the first letter. You could also change it by selecting the word, hitting correct, and then coming in here and just changing the first letter to uppercase or lowercase. Everything that's typed up here, if we make a change, the changes that we've just made, it has no effect on the audio. This is only fixing our transcript. It's not fixing anything in the audio. This is where what's being said, the spoken word, is mismatched with what's written here in the transcript, and we want to make those line up. If there's something that's being spoken incorrectly and we want to fix that, then there's another way we deal with that. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Coming down here, I see I said his idea was well accepted and signed in a law. I don't think that's right. Let's play through this. The law, but accepted and signed into law. Yeah, so that shouldn't be in a law, that should be into law. So we're going to highlight those words in A. We're going to hit correct and we're going to say into. So now that'll be signed into law. So again, that didn't change anything down below. That didn't change anything in the audio. That just changes the words in the transcript. Signed into law by president. See, exact same audio. We just made the transcript right. Now, one thing I don't like up here, it says his idea was well accepted. That just doesn't have a good flow. I think what it should say there is his idea was well received. I don't want to have to re-record this whole thing. And you know how it works. If you try and record just one word and plug it in there, it doesn't come out very good. What we'll do here is we'll select the word accepted and we're going to go to overdub. And it's telling us first assign the speaker label or detect speakers automatically. Good tip. Before you can use overdub, it needs to know who's talking. So we'll go up here to the speaker labels and this is Bob. That's me. We'll tell it I'm the one speaking. It knows who's speaking. So now we can overdub this word. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this word accepted. We're going to hit overdub and I don't want accepted. I want the word received. So received. And we click overdub. And you see now the word accepted is gone, the word received is there, but it has these little blue dashes under it. So that's telling us that it's overdubbing. And now we can come down here. I'm going to make this panel a little bit bigger. And you'll see that it not only took out the word accepted, but it overdubbed received. And this is something I really like about Descript is that it figures out a word or two before and a word or two after the word you're trying to replace so that it makes it a little bit smoother in context. So let's go back and play this through and see what it sounds like. This idea was well received and signed into law by President. Pretty good, huh? It wouldn't sound that way if I just recorded the word received and dropped that in there. All right, let's make a few other little tweaks here. Okay, I see this says McClure from Illinois championed the efforts to rearrange federal holidays. And that says champion, that should have an ED after it. Notice when I select it up here in the script panel, it also selects down here in the timeline. Descript looks at the waveform, listens to the audio, and decided it was this word. I'm going to give it a little help here. I want that to have an ED at the end. The reason that I'm picky about this transcript is because the transcript is what will be used for accessibility for folks that can't hear or can't hear well, or the folks that are in a situation where they want to watch a video, but they can't have their audio on or can't have it real high. So they watch it with the subtitles on so that they can get what's going on. So we want to give them the best experience. Also, I don't know about you, but when I see videos that have captions, not just closed captions, but they actually have the subtitles in big bright letters going across the screen, you can't turn them off. And the transcript is, you can tell, very poorly done. So the words are obviously wrong and it doesn't make any sense. It just drives me nuts. I refuse to do that. I will make an effort. I'm not a grammarologist, but I do my best to make it at least readable and not have the absolute wrong words compared to what's being said. We selected the word champion. It brought up our correct menu. So we're just going to add an ED to the end of that. We hit correct. And then what you'll see down here, if we select that word again, that's doing a lot better. So championed. Now that lines up better with the waveform. When we correct a word in the script like that, when we just correct the word, it makes no difference to the waveform, to the audio. It only changes it up here in the transcript, and then it'll change it in the script track down here. It'll show the correct word. But again, this is just a visual thing. It is not changing the audio. The only way we change the audio is if we overdub, or if we come down here and make edits to the actual audio. And there's a couple of other tools in Descript that can help you clean up your actual audio, and I'll be showing you those in just a minute. So I see something else here. It is Monday. That period should go away. I think that definitely Monday, creating 3-day weekends. Maybe we'll put a comma there. I don't know, probably an overuse of commas, but I tend to go with too many and not enough. And I know that's backward, but look, this is what I do. Okay. There are probably other things in here we could correct, but for the sake of time, we're going to move on to look at some other things. I think you get the idea of how to correct in the transcript and also how to overdub. Within the script pane up here at the right, you have this little magic thing. When you hover over it, you get the tooltip, shorten word gaps, remove filler words, and more. There's a couple different things that we can do here. In this case, I've got it set to a half a second or more. So what it's saying is if you see a space, there's silence for more than a half a second between words, reduce that down to 0.4 seconds. You can see this in the audiogram, but you would not see it here in the script. What that will do is it'll look through the audiogram, and if there's a space that's 0.5 seconds, 0.7 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get a loss for words when I'm recording something, and I'll sit there silently trying to get it right in my head for, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 seconds. This is a great way to weed all those things out right from the get-go. Over here in the properties, it shows you the search results. So it's showing you everywhere that you have a word gap greater than what you've set over in the tool. I'd like to take anything that's a half a second or more, and it's telling me that there are 9 results in this one composition that are greater than half a second. And we'll go ahead and shorten those down to 0.4. You can change that. If you want that to be, you only do this little slider here you can see that I'm using. So you just click on the seconds or more and slide it down. You can also select that whole thing and put in whatever number you want. So if you want to say 0.7 seconds or more, that's fine. If you want to say 1 second or more, that's fine too. For me, I like 0.5. So I put in 0.5, I press the tab key, and you can also set your shortening length too. If 0.4 seconds is too short for you, you can set it to find anything that's over 1 second, shorten it down to zero point 0.7. Find anything that's over 5 seconds. Maybe you like those pauses for effect. And if those are in there, that's certainly fine. So then we just hit apply to all. And now it says shortened 9 word gaps. And up here, it tells us 0 results and 0 compositions because it reloaded the search. The search stayed active while it was making the change. And now it's saying there's none left. There's nothing left to do. Another handy thing we can do here is filler words. It's looking for any of these right now. And what you can tell it to do is if you see any of these, and it'll tell you how many it sees. Right now we have 0, which is good. Great. So it'll go look for any of these things. The well, you see, or repeated words. Sometimes you have a double. I do that a lot. It'll look for all those, and if it sees them, it'll just take them out. It'll take them out of the script. It'll take them out of the audio, so they will disappear from the script in the script pane. They will disappear from the script track down here in the timeline, and they will disappear from the waveform. The audio will actually be gone. So that's one of the things like overdub, where correcting up here in the script does affect the audio and the audio output. We did word gaps, we did filler words. You can also come up here and search for text. If I wanted to look for Washington, here it's telling me that we have found this 10 times in this composition. So we can do some things. We can make a correction on that. We can remove the media, or we can copy that. So if we wanted to correct it, let's say we want to make sure they're all capitals, we will do that. And there we go. That's done. Of course, there's still 10 because we didn't get rid of the word. I just made sure it was all capitals. Okay, so those are some really cool tricks that you can use to speed up your editing of the audio. Now, if I just want to export this audio, say I'm doing a podcast and I just need to get this audio out, it's happy and I need to get it out, then what I can do is come up here to publish, and you have some options. You can either put it out as a web link, you can publish it to any of these platforms. The ones that are not showing as enabled right now, like YouTube, the reason that one's not enabled is because I don't have any video with this, is looking to make sure you have what you need to export where you want to go. But yeah, you can, this is really easy. If it's any of these platforms you're trying to go to, going straight from Descript, publishing it right up to the web, it's faster. It's a faster time to get it up there, and it saves you a couple of steps of bringing it down to your computer and then getting it up to wherever you need it to go. You can also publish this as just a web link if you need to share it with someone, and you have some settings below there that we can tinker with. We can also export this under the Publish tab. We click the Publish button. It defaults to publish, but you can switch over here to export. And so this is the name of our project, Demo Descript, and we can choose whether we want to export the audio, the timeline, the transcript, or the subtitle. Exporting the subtitles is really handy. If you're uploading to YouTube, you export these subtitles, then you can add manual subtitles when you're uploading your YouTube video, or even after you uploaded it, you can go back and change them. And this will make sure that they're accurate. The subtitles will be using what you corrected over here. So it won't be the automatic transcription that happens by YouTube. It'll be what you've corrected. And that's particularly important when it comes to names or places or products that have specific names that aren't everyday words, because the transcription services have a hard time with those. All right, and the reason it's not giving us an option to export as video here is because we've put nothing visual in. We've just been working with audio so far. So we can also select what section, what part, what content we want to export, current selection, current composition, all compositions, markers, line breaks. The difference between a composition and a project is that the project is the larger container. In this case, we created a project that was Demo Descript, and we could add compositions to this. They're more like chunks. So right now you can see up here, when we drop down under the name here, compositions, Demo Descript, that's the only one we have. We could add new compositions under here. And the compositions are just chunks. They're ways to break down the project into smaller sections that makes it faster to render, faster to upload, faster to download, faster to work with all the way around. I have found that in doing 10-minute videos or so, it's been absolutely unnecessary to split things into compositions. That might be handy if you're working with a team and people are taking different sections, or if you have distinct things going on. Maybe one part of your video is an interview, another part of your video is going to be a show and tell kind of thing, and another one might be some voiceover with a B-roll or something. Maybe that would be useful if it's a longer video. But in shorter videos, it's really unnecessary. One composition in one project is just dandy. That's how we would publish if we were doing our audio right now. Now, the audio effects, this audio has already been fixed up, so I don't need to do anything with that. But you do have audio repair, studio sound, and that is amazing. It can take some really crappy audio and make it sound fantastic. I highly urge you to give that a try, and it's super simple. It's one click. It's literally just one click to make it work. You can mess with the compressor, limiter, ducking, or you can go into the EQ and just really change everything. Creative is what's in every audio editor, distortion, reverb, that kind of thing. So you probably won't use those very often. But the Audio Repair Studio Sound, I've used it on every single video and voiceover I've done, and it has done an amazing job at just one click fixes the sound. Audio is at 0, and certainly if you want it to be louder or softer, you can just raise this up, or we can cut that down to nothing. We're going to leave our volume at 0. All right, so let's take this audio that we have. Now that we know we fixed the audio, we fixed the transcript, and we feel pretty good about it. Again, I didn't go all the way through it just for the sake of time. I just worked on this first paragraph and a little bit in the second. So this is a voiceover for a video, and we need something. And since I can't interview George Washington or any of these other folks, I imagine most of them are not with us any longer since they were making laws in the 1870s and 68. Some of those folks, I guess, could still be around. Anyway, we're going to need some B-roll. So how do we get B-roll? We can certainly use external sources. If you have Envato or Storyblocks or anything like that, you can bring that media in and use it here. But within Descript, you also have access to a stock library that's pretty good. The way we get to this stuff, whether it was something we want to bring in or we're going to the stock library, just go up here and click this media button, and it starts us off in files. It's saying what file do you want to bring in. These are local files or files that you've saved in the project within Descript. The stock stuff is right across the top here, so we can go look for videos. There's quite a few of them, and we can look for GIFs or Giphy stickers. We can look at pictures, music, and sound effects. If we go back to videos, let's see, what are we doing? So we have a video about George Washington. So we're going to say George Washington. George Washington. If you hover over the video, you'll get a preview of it. So we'll do this. This looks fine. So we have Mount Rushmore. Washington's one of the dudes on that mountain. So we'll just click it. Once we click it, it pops right on in. A couple of things that are really neat here. This is our first scene and our only scene. We're on the left in the scene rail. You can see that we have this one scene here. It's scene number 1. It's the only scene. Then what you notice over here in your script, what's underlined in blue, that's how long the clip is. So this clip is 22, almost 23 seconds. It's showing us as it lines up above the waveform, above the script track, how long that clip's going to go. It also shows us up here, shows us by being underlined how far it'll go. Maybe I don't want it to go that far, and that's okay. If I don't want it to go that far, we can go ahead and make a scene. Let's see, after this first sentence, let's let it go to right about here and say I want to do a new scene right here. Now the way to do that, super simple. 2 things we can do. We can either out here to the left of the script, you see this add scene with a /, or we can just put our cursor where we want to start the new scene. In this case, I want it to go right before Congress, and we'll hit the /. And now, guess what? We have a new scene. You can see you have a second thumbnail over here in the scene rail, and this will be our second scene. While we're at it, why don't we go ahead and add some more scenes? Let's go down here past these holidays, and we'll put a / that says we're going to have another scene there. We can come down here, another sentence maybe, and we'll put another scene. We're just going scene crazy here. We'll come down here and put another one. There we go. And now this gives us another way to work with our project here. So we can go here, and I don't really want this showing up on this scene. So I'm going to click it, and I'm going to delete it. And now you'll notice that it's still there in the first scene. I've totally got it. Look, we'll go play the video and see. George Washington, February 20th, before he, on the day of the official. Yep, see, it's there, it plays. And so now what we've done is we have that attached to the scene. This brings us to another tip within the timeline. By default, only the selected layer is going to be shown. That's this little box with a line above and below it. But if we move to this little button to the right, or you can Control T, that's not a shortcut I memorize, but we can show all layers by clicking that. And we'll see that when once we separated this into scenes and we deleted Mount Rushmore from this second scene, it didn't delete it from the first, it kept it there because we didn't delete it from the second scene. If we double click on this scene on our scene rail, you notice it selects that whole scene for us. Now, for me, I tend to like to go ahead and create a new line everywhere there's a new scene. It just makes it easier for me to see everything and it lines up so I don't make any boo-boos. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Everywhere we've got a new scene, just click right before the forward slash and press enter, and that'll give us a new scene. So I like that better. Now, again, you're lining up when you have your scenes over on the left. And when you click on that third scene, your cursor goes right into this text. Your playhead drops down here in the timeline, your playhead drops to the third scene. So it's all nice and lined up. If we come down here and let's say we click right between the word near and the, we're in the fourth scene. We can tell because you get this little bar next to the 4 over here. You're on the fourth scene. Down here in the timeline, the line goes right between the near and the in the script track. So it all three, everything lines up. So it's like you're looking at it from different angles. So you're looking at it from the top, the side, and maybe the other side, but the point, the reference point is always the same. It's in the same spot. So let's say we want to add another something here. We can go right back up to our files, and maybe this time we want an image. And so we can just, we don't want George Washington this time. Let's say we want Congress. Be nice if we had something that was 1800s Congress, but I don't think there's too many pictures of that lingering around. What might be out there? Let's try 1800s. Is there something out there for that? Maybe there's something in 1800s video. Hey, look, we've got something here. Something all 1800s. Again, hovering the mouse, you get a preview, and if you want to, you just click it and it will drop it onto the scene that you have selected. The only way that can get you into a little bit of trouble is if you're in the wrong place. Say I'm down here in scene 5, I've left my cursor and I don't really realize it, and I'm trying to add video or a picture to scene 3. If my cursor's down here and I go add this media, that's where the media is going to get added. That's where the video will get dropped, is down here on scene 5. Easy enough to move, you can fix it, nothing's ever done. Let's add another something or other here. So I clicked on scene 3. It tells me where scene 3 starts in the script, which is right here. Down at the bottom, it's showing it down here in the waveform and timeline audiogram. So we can go ahead and click up here. Let's go back to videos. Oh, we have 1800s. Yeah, that works since we're talking about 1800s and this is talking about being off work. I don't know why these are all science experiments. I imagine they did other things in the 1800s besides science experiments, but I don't know. This looks interesting. We'll take it. So we're going to drop that in. What you might have noticed is that this particular video, when we dropped it on the scene, it is exactly the length of the scene. That's handy that when you bring in a stock video in Descript and you put it on a scene, it'll trim it for you right to the length of that scene. Now, you can, if you know ahead of time you want it to span longer, you can do that. But it's making your life easier because the scenes are generally telling you that something visual is going to change. The visual change might just be that you're doing something different with your captions or subtitles or something, if you have those displaying. But most of the time, the scene changes when you're going from one clip to another. But if I want this to spread across more than one, because it was, let's go see if we can find her in here again. I think she was on the right, and she might have been below all that. Where'd she go? We lost her. Oh, there it is. So let's have a look and see. So that file, and notice here, when you first click into your media, the first thing it's showing you is anything you have in your project. So all the things that we've already used, all the assets that we've used in here, they're listed here for you. This was that video. That clip was 15 seconds long. And the scene here, it ran from 23 to 30. So it only brought in 8 seconds of that. Now, if you want to adjust and have that start later, if you wanted to maybe the middle section of the clip and not the end, you can just come right down here and wait for your cursor to change. And you'll notice that the bracket is pointing inward. So it's telling me we're working on the video to the right. If I were to go this way, just a hair, you'll see the brackets are pointing to the left. So it's trying to work on the video that's over to the left. So we can take this, we get our brackets into the right, and we can just pull that in and aha. Now you say, well, wait, that's just making the video start later. That's not what I wanted. No problem. We're going to drag it over. We're going to drop it right there. We're going to pull the end out because remember, this was a 15-second video and we were only using 7 or 8 seconds of it. So we'll drop it right there and then we'll come back and start again. So we're at the beginning of the scene. Yeah, I can click up here and make sure I'm at the beginning of the scene, or I can click down here on the playhead and we'll hit play. And notice now we're showing a different part of this clip. Cool, huh? All right, so let's go grab one more thing here. We'll go to our media and we'll go to, I don't know that there would be anything in the GIFs, but who knows? Heck, in the they have some 1800s GIFs. How about that? And I call them GIFs. You can call them GIFs. It's tomato. That looks interesting. We'll drop that in. Okay, so you can see we're working on a 16:9 aspect ratio, and this doesn't fit. So what are we going to do? It's already selected. We can tell by the blue. I'll click it just to make sure. Grab one of these handles, drag it down, grab one of these, drag it up, and we'll do something like that. And that'll probably tell the story just fine. Now this is going to loop, and you can tell that by looking down at the bottom. You see all these little loop icons within it. You can also tell over here under clips, it says loop, and that's why it's at 0 because it's just going to loop and loop. We can switch that and say only play that thing one time, but we're going to keep it looping. Why not? Okay, so that's crappy. That doesn't work because apparently there is a black screen or a couple of black frames in there. And so that's not working for us at all. So how do we get rid of it? We selected it. And if we're somewhere else, it's okay. We can find it again. Notice when I clicked here down into this paragraph, that's part of scene 5. So it changed the slide or the scene down here to the 5 and the slide rail. And it also down in the timeline view, it dropped us into that exact section on the timeline view. So let's go back up where we had this. No, it wasn't her. It was here. Sure of it. There we go. So here we are. We can just click on and we will hit the old delete button and it's gone. All right, let's go back. I want to make sure that I've selected the scene, the little thumbnail, or that I've dropped my cursor right here. So I want to make sure it starts where I want it to start. So I think we're going to skip the GIFs for the moment. In addition to their stock photos and stock illustrations that are here, you have access to Unsplash, which is plenty of royalty-free images. So we can search for some more. We can go 1800s. Doubt there's anything, but oh, hey, look at them. So maybe we'll just have at this point just some sort of general hundreds stuff. So here, we'll put in a covered wagon. It's 1800s-ish. Okay, again, it doesn't quite fill the frame. We can fix that though. We're gonna just widen that out, and there we go. Now, keep in mind that this is a still image, so nothing is gonna change there. And what we'll do, go over here and grab our audio track. I did that by just clicking down on the audio, and I'm gonna hit the mute so that we can look at this without having to hear my voiceover again and again. So you can see as it's going through, it's just a picture. It's a still picture. And if we wanted to jazz that up a little bit, we can come a little bit into maybe a few words. And this is what I love about Descript and the text-based editing is you can see where the words are and make sure something lands exactly where you want it. We can come in here to the words on the timeline. We'll just drop our playhead maybe here. We've already got that selected. We can animate that coming over to animation and we can say, zoom in. We can zoom and pan as well, or we can spin, or we can do something custom. We're just going to say zoom in. And notice what it did for us here is it created this little attachment. I just moved it, didn't really mean to. I can make that effect go longer by moving this little thumbnail on the left. I can bring it in on the right or take it out on the right. We'll put it right about there. And of course, you can just grab the whole thing and move the effect left or right, earlier or later, however you want to call it. So let's see what that does. Looky there. We're just zooming right in on that fella. If my cursor's down here and I go add this media, that's where the media is going to get added. That's where the video will get dropped, is down here on scene 5. Easy enough to move. You can fix it. Nothing's ever done. And speaking of something I think is just absolutely incredible within Descript, Have you ever done some video editing and then it just all goes sideways and you can't even figure out how to get it back to before you started playing around and made the problem? Yeah, I have. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. Descript saves me from myself because I can go here to the main little menu icon up on the top left and go to File, and then down here to Version History. And with Version History, it shows over in my Properties pane. Do you want to look at the one that we saved for you 1 minute ago, 20 minutes ago, an hour ago, or a little more than an hour ago? So as we've been here working on this, it's saved all along those and can bring us back to before something went bad. Maybe it's just me. So that's real handy. I've never, even when I've had a problem where my computer was overwhelmed for whatever reason, or a power outage, I've had that happen. I have never had a problem with getting a fairly recent version back. It's not been a situation where I've had to go back and do even 20 minutes worth of work. Usually it's kept everything, if not every single thing I've done, at least it's kept up until the last minute or so, which is super cool. Nobody likes losing work. Let's add one more piece of media here because that plain screen is driving me crazy. We will just pick this one here. Again, you'll notice that this was like a 30-second video. In this case, this last scene is much longer than 30 seconds. This blue underline is telling us where that visual is going to go. So it's going to start where we wanted it to start at the beginning of the scene, and it's going to run down to here and then stop. We would have to decide if we wanted this to loop, if we wanted to add another image after that in the same scene, or split this up into other scenes. I think what we're going to do for the sake of time, we're going to come right here and stop our video here, but we don't want to delete everything else. We might want that later, but for now, we're going to select everything all the way down to the bottom. And then when this bar pops up, click this strike through button, which is also ignore. That's going to tell Descript to just ignore all that. Just forget it's there. And you'll notice what happened. Our timeline shrank significantly because everything from here out disappeared, but it's still there. It's not gone. If we want to bring it back, we can just take that away, even a section of it. So look, if we highlight this word, if we just want to bring back that word, we can select it. And when the menu pops up, you can see how the strike through or the ignore is blue. That means it's on. We just click that and it brings it back. It's all restored. We're happy. But for now, for this part of the project, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that. We are going to figure out how to do some subtitles on this video. First things first, this part that I've ignored here at the end, I kind of want to move that. So I'm just going to hit the return there or enter. And remember what we do up here in the script, unless we are overdubbing, removing filler words, or changing word gaps, it does not affect the audio. It's just affecting what we visually see. Now, if we overdub or if we change word gaps or tell it to get rid of filler words or we do a find and replace on certain things, then we can impact the audio. But just adding a space or changing punctuation or that kind of thing has no effect on the audio. We have this video here. We currently have it in 16:9 aspect ratio, and for the moment, we're just going to stick with that. I'm going to go ahead and drop my cursor back up on scene 1. I'll go up here to text because that's where they live, and you can add a title, a subtitle, plain text, or captions. We will click the captions, and then we have some options over here. What we have selected is live text as captions. You can choose whether you're seeing the speaker name. So if you have several different people talking, maybe you want it to display who's talking each time, you can do that. You can have it change from composition name by marker, or you can have a timer go. We want to stay here in captions. There we go. And then we'll click the adjustments button over here. And if there was more than one speaker here, we can filter that out and say only caption what Bob says. In this case, I'm the only one talking. We have the karaoke style. There is the classic style and the clean style. Karaoke works pretty good, and this is where it highlights the active word. It'll format the active word differently than the other words. So you have some options here. You have the active word, and then you have future words. So notice here what it's doing is saying that as the word George is red, George is going to be white text with a blue background. And then the future words, the rest of these, Washington, our first president, was a big deal. Those are all going to be filled. They're not going to be highlighted, so they won't have the blue behind them. and they're all going to have this transparency effect over the white. So let me go ahead, and I believe I had this audio track muted at one point. Yes, I still do. Let's unmute that. Let's go back here to the beginning, and we'll play. There we go. So you see how that's going to work. If you want to change the colors on that, not a problem. What we need to do, now we went out of that, so where'd our captions go? Pretty simple. We come out down here to the timeline, and if it's shrunk on you, maybe it looks like this. It gets a little hard to see. Just come down here, grab the timeline, the top of the timeline, and drag it up. And then you'll be able to see that you have some different layers here in your timelines. Down here is the script layer, the audiogram, our captions went right here, and then above that's the actual image. So we can click on the captions, and when we notice the properties change, now it has our captions over here. Click on that, click the adjuster, get back to where we were. If we want the background in the karaoke style, we wanted that to be yellow, that's not a problem. We could make it black. We can leave it the blue. We'll do that for the moment. Fill changes the color of the words. So what this is doing is for the active word, it's making the fill yellow and the background that bluish color. And then for the future words, maybe you want those to just all be white. You can do it like that. So that's what that would look like. Back here, we'll make sure our captions are selected again. Look at our adjustments. Since we've made some changes here, it's no longer karaoke. It's gone to custom because we customized it. Karaoke was very specific. Karaoke was white fill on the text, blue background on the active word, and then some transparency on future words. If we change these colors, it'll switch this and say it's now custom. You also have the classic. So it'll look like classic is just the text on the screen. It's more like closed captioning or basic subtitles. That would make more sense if it's called basic rather than classic. And then we have clean, and we'll have a look at what that looks like. Clean is going to give you one word at a time. So there with clean, what you get is one word at a time, and you don't see the future words. You can change the fill on the active word. If you don't like the white text, to make it black, you can make it yellow. If you're using the clean option, you don't see future words, but if we change this fill and say, make our future words this fantastic orange here, that's awful colorful, we can do that. And then you'll just notice that it again has changed us to custom because we've changed something about it. So we can go through that. And I don't know that I can even keep up with those colors, but yeah, we'll switch this back. I think we'll just pick the default karaoke for now. You can have a lot of fun with this though. You can play with these quite a bit and make them exactly what you want. You can change the font if you want it to be something else. You can change the transparency, make it lighter or 100%. The layout, you can decide where they go using the X, Y, and the size here. You can make it wider or you want it to be, if you want them to come in at an angle, not a problem. Just turn them like that. You can also, if you want the positioning to be different on the screen, all you have to do is select it and then drag it where you want it. We can change our basic fill text. If you're using active word, this would be the text that has already been read. And I'm using red because it's already been read. Yeah, no, I didn't think that much into it. This would be the words that have already passed. You can put a border. The border here is on the text, not on the text box. So if you want to, I would call this a stroke or an outline. You can do that, and you can certainly change the color any way you want. You can also have a background in the text box if that's what you want to do. Might be a handy way to hide a bad spot in the video or something that you don't really want seen. If you want your caption text to have a shadow, easy peasy, come right here and just click this little adjustment here and you can adjust the X and Y. This is the direction and amount of travel on both the Y axis and then the X axis and the amount of blur that your shadow has. So you can make it not look like a shadow anymore or keep it really crisp and tight. And then of course you can change the shadow color just like that. You can get all kinds of colors and all kinds of captions and really do a lot of stuff in here. That background is driving me absolutely crazy. And the fact that it's angled, I don't know why the colors aren't driving me crazy. They should be because they're wild. But yeah, let's take a look. You might have noticed that let's go back to where it says his birthday, February 22nd. Okay. Now, when we have the word birthday highlighted as active text, it's already saying February. So something's a little askew here. And the way we can fix that is let's come down and look. Down in our timeline, we have his birthday, and then we have this big space in the words where Descript doesn't know what that is or doesn't think it's a word. And then we have February over here. So I suspect that the word February starts right here. So let's take a listen from right here and see. February 1. Aha, it sure does. All right, so we can fix that. We want to come down here and we want to tell Descript that February should be starting over here. And the way to do that, if you hover over it, hold control to correct alignment. So if we press control, notice that our cursor changed. We went from the little hand to the little bracket with the arrows. We can drag February this way, and this will tell the script that the word February starts here. So let's go back, and actually I can see February. Over here, we're starting to say the 22nd. So let's go ahead and fix that now while we're in here. Let's go grab the 22nd. We'll hover over, we'll hit control. We're going to move February in first. We're going to say that's where February ends. And then we're going to go over here. We're going to hit control and drag the 22nd over. So let's see if that lines up a little better. There, that's much better. So good, we fixed that. That will help not only these animated subtitles, but it'll also help for our closed captioning so that the text that's being put up there lines up with the words that are being spoken. So that's pretty handy. If we're happy and we want to publish this, we can go right over to this publish button and we can send it out as a web link. Or now you see YouTube is enabled. And if you want to publish it to YouTube, just click the YouTube button and it's going to ask you for a title and a description, and it'll put this title and description on YouTube for you. You pick the category, any tags you want, and the default access is going to be private, and that's probably what you want anyway. You can let Descript upload it to YouTube for you, but you probably want to make some tweaks before you actually publish it live. For instance, you probably want to make a custom thumbnail. You might want to edit the tags a little bit more and do some other things before you actually make it go live. So keep in mind, when you're publishing from here to YouTube, you're really publishing it to private. You can, of course, make it public or unlisted if you choose. The default is private, and that's probably where you leave it. I am apparently not signed into YouTube right now in Descript. I've used this before and it works great. Of course, if YouTube's not where you're trying to go, you've got all these other places you can go. You'll notice some of the places that don't accept video are not enabled here. And if you hover over the little I, it'll tell you why. So for instance, for Podbean, that's not enabled right now. And if you hover over it, it'll tell you composition must be audio only. So it can only export or publish to Podbean if it's audio only. If you don't want to publish it directly somewhere, when you hit the publish button, instead of dropping down these links, go over here to export, and you can export it as whatever you like. You can export the video, just the audio. You can export as a GIF. It's probably a little long for a GIF, a timeline, transcript, or subtitles. You can also select the resolution. It'll tell you here what the composition resolution is. So for instance, this one's in 1080p, so there's really not much point in me exporting it at 1440 because 1080 is what's within the video. But you can adjust that to be whatever resolution you want it to be. The quality, you can set that low, medium, or high. And then the metadata, we have that turned on. I think it's turned on by default. You can type in your metadata here, and you can include markers as chapters. That's pretty handy. Markers in general are pretty handy. Once you click the export, it's a pretty quick process. This is only a minute long video, but I'm going to hit export. It came up on my other screen to select the location and the file name, and I just called it demo descript demo export mp4 and hit save. And now it is telling us that it's exporting. There are a lot of video editors that do far less than this that take a lot longer to export, and it does a good job of keeping you updated on the progress. Poof, just like that, the video export is completed. If you don't have Descript yet, you can try it for free. There's a link in the description, and you can stay on the free tier as long as you like, so you can really play around with it and see if it works for you. Full disclosure, I may receive a commission at no extra cost to you if you use my link.